Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Whisky Wednesdays. My name is Daryl Lim, and I'm your host. Today is the third episode showcasing Shelter Point Distillery in Campbell River on beautiful Vancouver Island. During this trip, I had the pleasure of interviewing Jacob Wiebe, manager of the Shelter Point Distillery. In today's episode, which was filmed entirely in Shelter Point's warehouse number 2, Jacob lets us sample a cask strength whiskey that has been maturing for less than a month in an ex-10-year-old Ardbeg cask. Don't forget to check out the past 2 episodes that showcased the distillery's overview, its production and maturation processes, as well as a tour of Shelter Point's warehouse number 1, home to more than 1,500 casks. I want to give a special shout out to my whiskey co-conspirator Mark Kaczynski for helping organize and making this trip to Shelter Point Distillery a reality. Before we get started, do me a favor and click the thumbs up button below, share this video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. This is your chance to support our friends at Shelter Point Distillery and spread the word about another wonderful Canadian brand. If you're new here, welcome. You can watch and browse all of my other whiskey reviews on this channel. I'm always open to your feedback so we can make this journey even better.
Sometimes the bungs get a little bit worn in, and because this is our first 10-year-old whiskey that's in an Ardbeg barrel, everyone keeps kind of dipping their tongue into it.
Whoa. Yeah. So you actually ripped the whole thing out, eh?
Yeah, the bung comes in and out.
Okay.
Often we're using...
But is that like split? Oh, that's...
Oh, it's just bro.
Oh, you have to actually go in.
You're not supposed to. I mean, it's indifferent. It's just...
It adds to the flavor.
Have you heard of a whiskey thief? No, it's not a person, it's a thing. This is a tool used by the distillery to draw the whiskey from the barrel. It looks like an oversized turkey baster. In the next video, you'll see Jacob expertly handle a whiskey thief to draw the cask strength whiskey for us to sample. At first, I was rather horrified seeing the precious cask strength whiskey dripping all over the barrel and the floor.
This is 10-year-old single malt that has only been in this cask for a month, maybe. Not even quite a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's our whiskey thief, and then this is how we do all of our sampling.
Sláinte, everyone. This is a 62%. Sláinte. Oh, yeah.
That's only a month.
Taste that wood in there.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. How do you measure or determine the ABV?
So we use hydrometers, which do it by the weight and volume of the spirit. So you put in, you read the temperature, it'll be somewhere between 15 to 20 degrees. And then you have hydrometers that have all these numbers, and they determine the density of the alcohol.
What makes Shelter Point Distillery so special, in my opinion, is that they're not just a whiskey distillery. Instead, they are a fully functioning farm that grows 65% of their own wheat and barley right on site and only imports 35% from other communities across British Columbia. Moreover, they possess a unique asset right beneath their 400-acre estate, an aquifer with over 1 billion liters of natural spring water fed from the glacier into Oyster River. In a previous video, I also mentioned how this lean team of 5 at the distillery have a strong work ethic that takes after its owner, Patrick Evans, a second-generation farmer.
When's your planting season?
So we plant in
August.
late May, early April.
Okay.
We harvest mid to early August, and the harvesting is pretty straightforward. I'll be in the combine. James will be running truck, hauling the grain from one side of the farm to the other, and then Patrick will be on the seed separator,
Right.
kind of making sure all the barley, and we're sort of interchangeable in those parts. Patrick and me usually run the combine just because we have the most experience with it. It's probably the worst part. The air conditioner doesn't really work, so when it's 40 degrees in August, it's probably the most unpleasant place to be. And Patrick always says, like, we could fix it, but it's only 2 days. Like, you could sweat for 2 days. It's not bad for you. Drink lots of water. We'll work.
So August is sort of planting season, and then you said
August is harvest season.
Harvest season, okay.
May is planting.
planting.
May,
So it's about
April.
90 days.
90 days, approximately. Depending on your year, when's the water coming? Like, is it going to rain early? Is it rain late in the year?
And you're telling me on the ride here, it obviously was noisy, we can do the video, but tell me about the aquifer on the property.
Yeah, aquifer. So there's a glacier-fed aquifer right underneath of our property. I think it was estimated like 1 billion liters. Essentially, it's
A billion,
That
with a
was,
B.
that was what Patrick keeps saying. I wasn't there for that meeting, but it's unlimited water. The Oyster River kind of
And
leaks
it comes
into
from the
glacier,
Oyster.
Comox Glacier.
Okay.
Well, the glacier kind of, everything sort of sheds down to us through the Oyster River,
And that's why climate change is important for the survival of your...
for the survival of the distillery. If the glacier keeps melting, we're going to be okay. Yeah.
And in terms of, so we saw a couple of John Deere machines on the
Yeah.
property, so with 2 or 3 of those, and you can
Yeah, we
manage
got
the
about-
200-acre...
Manage the whole thing.
Lane.
Different tractors for different things. Some just for the disc. Some we use just on the plow.
Do you ever
on
have
the plow.
seasonal staff that...
No. Patrick just believes in hard work. His dad used to say you had to work half a day to be successful. It doesn't matter if it's the first 12 hours or the second 12 hours. Just put half a day in. And then Patrick always likes to walk around and say things like, work is a gift. And you don't need more people to carry the load. You need a stronger back.
Right.
Like, these are common phrases that he throws out just to coerce you into working more.
And let's remember that Jacob's taking the day off on a long weekend Monday
Yeah.
to give us a private tour of 2 guests, one from Ontario. So thank you so much, Jacob.
Thank you for
your
coming
time.
out. I appreciate you guys kind of thinking of us and coming out here and visiting.
We have come to the end of this week's whiskey review. Don't forget to like and share this video with your friends and fellow whiskey lovers. I want to give a heartfelt and warm thank you to Jacob Wiebe, Patrick Evans, and Mark Kaczynski for helping make this trip and whiskey distillery tour a reality. Stay tuned to the next episode as I showcase the 5 whiskeys that I returned from Shelter Point Distillery with. I'll be giving you an overview of all 5 whiskeys along with a tasting notes for each. I'd like to take a moment at this time to recognize the contributions of our men and women in law enforcement for keeping us safe and protecting our communities. This coming weekend is the Canadian Peace Officers Memorial. I've had the honor and privilege of wearing the uniforms and serving as a volunteer for the Ottawa Police Service and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police for their respective pipe bands for over a dozen years. Today, I'm proud to count many friends, clients, subscribers, and fellow whiskey lovers who are active duty or retired peace officers and law enforcement professionals. This video this week will carry the hashtag Blue Lives Matter. Until then, stay safe and have a wonderful week. Sláinte.